Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and restless Jess Walton recalls getting wet and wild with Gene Cooper. This scene was pure magic. As fans, we often have our favorite scenes involving the characters we love or love to hate, and when it comes to the stars, they have unforgettable ones as well. The young and the restless Jess Walton recently posted a photo featuring one of Jill and Catherine's many physical altercations, and it was one that left a castmate blown away. This scene with Gene Cooper was pure magic. Wild, funny, and unforgettable, Walton stated of the infamous water fight. "We laughed so much that day. Grateful for every moment I got to share with her on and off screen. Watching the scene play out on our screens was laugh out loud hilarious. Can you imagine how it was for those watching it from behind the scenes at the studio? I remember watching this live on the floor." Greg Rickhart, Kevin, Days of Our Lives Leo stated. "I hadn't been on the show for very long and was just blown away by how brilliant you both were. So committed and having so much fun at the same time. What a dream." Fans loved seeing the throwback photo and Edie Montagano Thompson shared. "Boy, I have to admit, when you post these photos it makes me miss Gene so much. And I miss you being on the show too. It has never been the same." Sadly, Cooper passed away on May 8, 2013, and the legendary actress has been missed ever since. In the decades-long tapestry that is The Young and the Restless, there are scenes that make you gasp, moments that make you cry, and every so often, a scene so unpredictable and perfect that it transcends the screen. For Jess Walton, who has portrayed the fierce, fabulous Jill Foster Abbott since 1987, one such moment remains etched in her heart and soaked into her memory. Quite literally. It was chaos. It was hilarious. It was unscripted brilliance. Walton says with a grin. That scene with Gene? It was pure magic. She's talking, of course, about one of daytime television's most iconic brawls, the infamous catfight in the fountain, a moment that still gets cited by fans as a high point in the long, thorny history of the Jill versus Catherine rivalry. A scene so physically wild and emotionally raw, it not only reflected the fire between the characters, but the fearless synergy between two powerhouse actresses at the top of their game. Now, years later, Jess Walton is looking back on that scene and the bond behind it, with laughter, tears, and reverence for the woman she calls one of the greatest scene partners I ever had. Chapter 1. Titans in a Teacup. The feud between Jill Foster and Catherine Chancellor wasn't just a soap opera storyline. It was the storyline, a generational, Shakespearean saga of betrayal, class war, longing, and identity. And it was helmed by two women who knew how to bring the heat. From the minute I started working opposite Gene, I realized we had something rare, Walton says. We could throw barbs, slaps, tears, shade, and it never felt forced. It was like our souls knew how to spar with each other. Walton stepped into the role of Jill in the late 1980s, becoming the fourth actress to do so. But it didn't take long for her to own the character so completely that audiences forgot anyone else had ever worn Jill's stilettos. Still, standing toe-to-toe with Gene Cooper, the grande dame of Genoa City, with her perfectly coiffed platinum hair and a voice like aged bourbon, was no small task. She was majestic, unpredictable, and utterly alive, Walton recalls. And she never did anything halfway. If we had a fight scene, she gave it everything. She wanted bruises, water, mud, whatever it took. She said, "If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right." That commitment would pay off in ratings, Emmys, and a moment that would become part of soap legend. Chapter 2. When the script gets soaked. The now iconic fountain fight didn't appear in the script exactly the way it aired. Originally, the confrontation between Jill and Catherine was to take place in a public park, an emotional shouting match, a few shoves, and then a dramatic exit. But the moment the actresses arrived on set and saw the decorative fountain that had been dressed into the scene, inspiration struck. I looked at the fountain, then looked at Jean, Walton says, laughing. And she had that twinkle in her eye. She said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" I said, "I absolutely am." The director wasn't entirely thrilled. They were panicked about continuity, wardrobe, the script, everything, she explains. We said, "Too bad. This is real. This is how these women would fight. Not with polite insults, but by drenching each other in public like maniacs." With barely a heads up, the two actresses threw themselves into the water, clawing and screaming in designer outfits, heels slipping on tile, hair flying. The cameras kept rolling. It was cold. It was ridiculous. It was soapy glory, Walton says. I don't think either of us stopped laughing for a week afterward. But beneath the spectacle was something deeper, a raw, emotional truth. These women hated each other, but they needed each other. They were reflections of everything the other wanted and feared. The water, in some poetic way, baptized their eternal battle. Chapter 3. Life Imitating Art. Off-screen, Walton and Cooper were nothing like their fictional counterparts. Where Jill and Catherine were volatile and vicious, Jess and Jean were warm, collaborative, and deeply respectful of each other's craft. We loved the work, Walton says simply. We lived for those scenes. I remember walking into rehearsal and seeing Jean, and we'd already be smiling, knowing we were about to do something unforgettable. They challenged each other constantly, not in ego, but in elevation. Jean would say, "Jess, give it to me. Hit me with everything you've got." She wanted truth. No faking. No flinching. And she gave the same back. That authenticity translated on screen in a way that audiences could feel. Fans weren't just entertained by Jill and Catherine's battles. They were moved, invested, even changed. We heard from women who said they'd never seen two older characters given that kind of emotional depth and screen time. We were proud of that. We were proud to show that older women could be complex, powerful, and yes, messy. Chapter 4. The Lasting Ripple. The fountain scene aired to enormous fanfare. Viewers flooded CBS with letters and calls. The media declared it an instant classic. And inside the Y&R set, it became legendary. For weeks after, the crew would walk past that fountain and grin. Walton remembers. They'd say, "You two are crazy." And we were. But the legacy of that moment wasn't just the soaked designer outfits or the viral clips, long before viral was even a term. It was the creative freedom it symbolized and the rare trust between actor and production. They let us go for it, she says. They didn't pull us back. They trusted us to know the characters and to chase the truth. That kind of freedom isn't always granted in the fast-paced world of daytime drama. And Walton knows how rare it was. It was lightning in a bottle. And I'm just so grateful I got to be part of it. Chapter 5. A Love Letter to Jean. Talking about Jean Cooper today, Jess Walton's voice softens. There's still joy, but also an unmistakable ache of absence. She was larger than life. And when she left us, there was a silence on that set that could never quite be filled. Cooper passed away in 2013 after portraying Catherine Chancellor for 4 decades. Her death marked the end of an era, not just for the show, but for the genre. There will never be another like her, Walton says. She was fearless, ferocious, and so full of heart. Every time I step onto that set, I still feel her there. And when reruns or flashback montages air the fountain fight, Walton doesn't just see her character. She sees a moment in time with a dear friend, captured forever in cascading water and wild emotion. I watch it and I laugh and I cry, she says. Because that wasn't just acting. That was us. That was a memory, one we made together. Chapter 6. Keeping the Spirit Alive. Jess Walton may not appear on YNR every week anymore, but her presence remains a cornerstone of the Chancellor family legacy. And when she returns for special arcs, there's always a nod to the past and to Catherine. In one recent return, a script called for Jill to reflect on her long-standing rivalry with Catherine, and Walton added a quiet touch. She wore a scarf that Jean had gifted her, one viewers would never notice, but that made the moment deeply personal. It was my way of saying she's still part of the story, she says. Because she is. And perhaps no moment better encapsulates the true magic of their on-screen relationship than that scene in the fountain. Two women, soaked and shouting, battling and bonding, showing the world that drama could be both ridiculous and real. It was wet. It was wild. It was everything Young and the Restless is supposed to be, Walton says. And for me, it was pure magic. Epilogue. The scene that still splashes. Today, that fountain fight remains one of the most watched and rewatched scenes in YNR history. It's shared on YouTube, quoted on social media, and used in every montage celebrating the show's rich legacy. It's a moment frozen in time, dramatic, defiant, and dripping with legacy. And at its heart are two women who didn't just act, they lived their roles with guts and grace. So the next time you see Jill Abbott raise an eyebrow or Catherine Chancellor throw a cutting line from the great beyond, remember the water, the passion, and the magic. Because in the world of the Young and the Restless, some scenes don't just air, they ripple through history.